Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Last time on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure we had Iggy the Fool and Geb's in Duel, Part 2. Continuing on from the very stupid Part 1, things actually got a whole lot better. For one thing, they had a very interesting battle of wits, honestly, between the gang and Indul. And, it was very interesting. Avdol got a moment where he tried tripping him up. Didn't work out necessarily, but it was something. But then, Jotaro actually went running and used Iggy to his advantage. And Iggy basically used his stand, the Fool, to fly them over the desert to find Indul. And they did, and it was very interesting. And then Jotaro, using the strength of Star Platinum, just chucked Iggy at Indul and hurt him, knocked him down, and then Jotaro hit his chest, knocking him out, and then he was like, "You're gonna tell me stuff about Dio," and then Indul actually killed himself so that he would not say anything. But what he did say, the only thing he did say, was that the 9 stand users that met with Dio all had stands that were named after the Egyptian gods, which is interesting. So his was Geb. And then there was an after credits scene where there was this guy who was talking to this kid with a comic book, but his comic book, I guess, was a stand, and then it predicted the guy's death, and then they went along and then they did it. And yeah, that was that. It was kind of strange, but presumably they are more. They are 2 more stand users that follow Dio. So yeah, this is where I say no spoilers in the comments, and we ought to get going on this episode, which, like always, is down in the description and in the pinned comment. So go click on that, watch it, then you can pop back over here for the discussion. Let's get started. Well, that was beyond stupid. But that was alright. Like, okay. Now, it's interesting that the title here on Netflix is different from the title that was actually in the episode. This says Khnum's Oingo and Thoth's Boingo. But that's not the names they used. I assume must have been copyright that they had to change. So yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm going to call this episode then. This was really, really stupid, but I'm okay with this. First of all, we just powered through 2 more stands. That means there's only 6 left before Dio. Second, this was 1 part. Thank you for that. I realized recently that maybe one of my problems with the first half of Stardust Crusaders is that there's a lot of 2-parters where there kind of doesn't need to be. Like, some of it is justified, like, if we go through here. Emperor and the Hanged Man, justified. Justice, justified. Lovers, to an extent. Death 13, kinda. Judgment, not really. High Priestess, Like, maybe that's it. Or there's just... It takes so long because you have to go through so many stands just to get to the halfway point. I don't know. But... And then, stands like the Sun, where it's like, oh my gosh, they're setting up for the greatest fight ever for Joseph Joestar, and then it's just over. Star Platinum throws a rock. I think that's kind of been one of my problems with Stardust Crusaders, but this one was 1 episode, and deserved 1 episode. These 2 fucks did not deserve 2 episodes, and I am thankful that it is only 1 episode. And yes, was this ungodly stupid? Yes, it was, but it worked out. Especially just being a one-off, It's kind of like with strength, where it's like, okay, there's a perverted pedophilic monkey on a boat, whose stand is a boat, fighting Jotaro. That the only reason I can let that slide is because that's a one-off. It's just like, oh, that happened. Next. So this one is like, okay, this is stupid, but we can, move past it. It's like, all right, that happened. Next. Let's move on. So let's go ahead and talk about the notes. The first thing I wrote down is poison. That was interesting. And then that leads into the colas and the tea. That was really funny. Just watching them, they have their predictions and stuff. And then just to see Jotaro and the gang, just sort of navigate this without really dealing with it, It's like they don't really need to pay attention to it, Like they're probably going to get to the end. It's like, wait a minute. We only beat 7 stands. Well, where are the other 2? And then, I don't know, Dio's just like, oh, yes. You remember that when you arrived at the hospital and there was a kid and a tall guy that were beaten up? Yeah, those 2 were stand users. Not my best underlings, I must admit. Because, yeah, it's like these, we just got this, like, okay, now that you've defeated in Duel, you have 8 more stand users to beat before you get to Dio. They just beat 2 and they didn't even know it, Like, at least Kakyoin knew about beating Death 13, So, but here it's specifically, like, oh no, we need to count down all the ones before we can face Dio. They just counted down 2 without even knowing it, But that was funny, just the whole thing with the tea. I like the Joseph finally being smart, thank you. Like, that's the thing, you gotta remember, Joseph Joestar, as stupid as he is brilliant, Which is kind of, we always say that Polnareff is an idiot, and he is, but he doesn't have that sort of battle strategy brilliance that Joseph had when he was younger, His battle tendency, His brilliance in terms of battle tendency, And I like that we got a little bit of that, where Joseph is like, look, we are in Dio's territory now. All of Egypt is enemy territory here. And Dio could send anyone at any moment. So, we need to be careful. Give us unopened colas. Not any tea, because we don't want to risk anyone poisoning it. So that was very, very clever. I like that. But they did they started to drink the tea, and then Iggy got in the way. So while the prediction did come true that they started to drink, it did not predict that they would then spit it out. Which, let's talk about predictions in fiction. Because I've talked about this on Merlin, and I've talked about this on My Hero Academia, and I think I've talked about this a bit on Doctor Who as well. And we can talk about this in context of Star Wars even, with the Force visions. Every time someone gets some sort of vision or prediction in fiction, they always take it at its absolute literal. And you cannot do that. Honestly, if I ever get a vision, I'm going to question it now, because I've seen too many of these friggin' shows that I know what will happen. They see, they'll drink the poison tea, and then that'll be that. No, you didn't see them die, so you don't know that. It's the same. There was an episode of Merlin where, oh my gosh, Morgana kills Uther. That's what Merlin sees in his vision. No, you saw Uther, he's like shocked, like, oh my gosh, and then all he sees is Morgana do this. You don't see the actual stab, and if you don't see the stab, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. Something that I feel like Merlin never learned in that show. Same thing going on in My Hero Academia. Same sort of thing going on in My Hero Academia, that Night Eye can see the future. That's his quirk, his foresight. But you do need to be careful. It's that same sort of thing. Now, his are a bit more concrete. He does see more tragic things, like when he, spoilers, when he sees in the future, he sees the death of All Might, you know? And he sees the death of All Might. All Might will die in a huge battle. Now that's a bit more tricky. With him, I guess it's more that they're trying to break the future, prevent it from happening completely. Whereas in stuff like Merlin and now in JoJo, no, it happens exactly the way it says, basically. You're misinterpreting it. And so here, they are seeing this as, oh, they'll drink the tea and die. No, it just says, all it shows is that tea will go into their mouths. It does not show them dead, you know? Like, if it showed them dead, and it showed the two of them being rewarded by Dio, then that would be something, you know? But that doesn't work here. Same goes for the Jotaro prediction. That, oh, Jotaro will be, split in half. No. Not exactly. Because you, Mr. Transformy Man, might end up transforming into Jotaro. And you will be exploded. So, that's the thing, you know? That's the thing about these predictions, is that you cannot take them at face value. Same thing goes, in Star Wars. I just rewatched an episode of Rebels where Ezra has a vision, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. And it's like, well, some of these things, yeah, they're going to happen, but what the hell does it mean, You're taking it way too literally, And they even say in that, visions are impossible to interpret. Same thing goes here, Same thing goes for here. So, just had to get that out there. Anyone who gets some sort of vision of the future in fiction always takes it too literally, Now, granted, I guess to their credit, they do have experience with that, They see, oh, this guy gets impaled. Oh, hey, he got impaled. I guess my foresight works. But that was a bit more concrete. Yeah, there's no really recovering from that or anything. It's like, no, that guy is just dead. But you didn't see Jotaro split in half or Jotaro up there like that. And even then, Mr. Face Changer, hello, that could be you as Jotaro getting hit. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of get that out there. I talked about that a lot in my Merlin reactions because there were so many episodes where Merlin was like, oh no, this is going to happen. It's like, you don't know that it's going to happen per se. Anyway, we had the false Jotaro, which was interesting. Again, I did like actually hearing, Matt Mercer do this more comedic false Jotaro. I thought that was really cool. And it was a good job of, it sounds like someone who isn't Jotaro, but using his voice, if that makes any sense. Oh, yeah, good grief, guys. He's even saying good grief, which is Jotaro's catchphrase, but still, it sounds like someone with his voice, but it's not Jotaro. So that it's just really good, I'd like to point out. We had the 5 cigarettes, I thought that was funny. Now, that's the thing, is that, they were suspecting, which is good, at least for Polnareff, at least. Because Joseph's suspecting him, well, Joseph is smart. Polnareff's an idiot. So the fact that Polnareff got that, I am at least happy for that. But they didn't follow through, and they just sort of forgot about it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even think they think about it anymore. It's like, oh, so Jotaro, you really did take a dump, get your clothes, and come back here, didn't you? The hell are you talking about? Whatever. Let's move on. It's like that's just sort of gone from their minds now. So yeah. But the whole thing with the 5 cigarettes was funny. Okay, they talked about thumbs. Can we... Here, I'm going to go back to that because I don't remember exactly what it was.
Aha! Are you aware you've got your left thumb on top of the others? Well,
Yeah, which is how I hold my thumbs when I do this.
Damn it! I wasn't prepared for this. Does Jotaro have a weird tick that causes him to clasp his hands with his right thumb on top? Who even notices something like that?
That's so strange.
That just proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that you were a woman in a past life. And since, unlike you, I always put my right thumb on top, it proves that I was a man in my past life.
That's so weird.
How about that? I always put my left thumb on top as well.
I do too.
But that proves you too were a woman in a past life. Says you. How does it prove anything?
How does it prove anything? Well, I guess I was a woman in a past life. That's where I get my hair from, I guess. Anyway. Yes, I was a woman in my past life. Now I am the hairiest man you could possibly find. Although not my best example. About a month ago, I actually shaved. I trimmed my chest hair. Cause when it gets an inch thick, it's time to shave, you know? But I actually shaved my arms too. It's finally growing back. You can start to see it now, but it's still pretty bad. If you go back, some of the previous reactions, like a couple weeks ago, you will see my arms just completely bare. So, let's stop talking about chest hair and me being bare. Let's move on. But that was funny. Just the whole thing about, like, yeah, I wouldn't have noticed that. It's like, oh, yeah, that's how I do it. So that means Polnareff does it like, this feels wrong doing it like this. But, yeah. I wonder if that's because, like, maybe, is Polnareff left-handed, maybe? Is that why? Maybe that's it. And then Jotaro, Joseph, and myself are right-handed. Because I am. I'm right-handed. Although I have had to write about a year ago. Actually, that would have been... There's probably some early JoJo videos. Yeah, back in part 1, there were a couple episodes where, like, you know, I had my hand in the cast, so I was writing with my left hand. Sucked, by the way. But I'm right-handed, so... Maybe that's it. I don't know. Put it down in the comments. Put down in the comments if you were a woman in a previous life. Yeah. I guess I was. It's the sexiest goddamn woman you've ever seen. I'll tell you that. Let me tell you. You think this chest hair is sexy? You don't even know. The fuck does that even mean? Anyway, we're getting off topic. And then they just got beat up. They just got the shit kicked out of them. I really like that. Nothing, like, I was expecting, you know, it's like, oh, Jotaro has actually been keeping an eye on them, and he shows up, and oh, it's like, no, none of that. It's just that one guy comes back with, you know, with a posse, and they beat the shit out of them. Like, I really like that. And then they gave up. Like, I really like that. It's like, oh, they just get beaten up, and then they give up. I was like, wow, great henchman you found there, Dio. You know what it probably is? He's probably thinking to himself, you know, I just can't find good henchmen on my own. And Yaba used to do that. I can't find any good ones. I mean, granted, in Duel was pretty decent, but yeah, these guys just gave up. They got the shit kicked out of them, you know? Yeah. This was a really dumb episode, but I actually really enjoyed it. So, this and last episode, this does give me hope that we're gonna shape up in this half, because you guys did say that Stardust Crusaders gets a lot better in the second half. So, you know, a bit of a shaky start with episode 25, but this and the last episode were actually pretty decent. So, yeah, where we will go from here, I do not know, but we will have to find out. But that's 3 stand users down, 6 more to go before Dio. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. We're actually shaping up pretty well here. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.